Hey guys, Zephyrnix here, and I know it's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you without a dope video to step to, but you know what? I've been playing a lot of PlayStation 3. I wanted to see exactly how good the PlayStation 3 really is. And my thoughts on it? I got thoughts. I'm just not going to give it to you right now. But this video is actually on another level. This was actually a response to Infinite Retro. Now, I've never done a response to Infinite Retro before. That's my boy, by the way. So, first of all, hold on a second. Let me grab this for a second. Okay, now I want to go ahead and do an interesting video here, because what he did was he basically said that the Xbox 360 controllers, well, Microsoft that is, copied off of Sega and their Dreamcast controller. Is that true? Well, kinda. I mean, it is knowledge that the people who worked on Dreamcast, its physical part, actually works for the company that also did the Xbox and the Xbox 360. It is also well known that it is a copy, especially the original Xbox controller is definitely a copy. But yes, Microsoft has copied. But I hate to break this to you, buddy, and this it's kind of like a double-edged sword that you actually did this video, because I mean, I guess for a name like Infinite Retro, you kind of didn't do your homework, in your past, hence the name Retro. But I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a quick overview of another company that copied a lot, especially on their controller, the PlayStation, Sony, if you will. Now, I want you guys to take a look at this, okay? Now, you looking? Looking carefully? I want you to take off the analog sticks. And when you get a PlayStation controller. But I want you to do something else. I want you to go ahead and take off these little plumped out vaginas at the top and these little penises at the bottom. And what do you get? A Super Nintendo controller. That's right. The original Sony PlayStation controller is actually a blatant copy of the Super Nintendo controller. It's true. But let's go a little bit further. Now, I want to take it to the next level. I want to go ahead and talk about the, I want to go ahead and take it to the next level. Let's talk about the evolution of that particular controller, the PlayStation Dual Analog controller. Now, what they did was they basically added the analog sticks, except for the analog sticks, the original ones were like indented. Now, where did they get the idea for the analog sticks? The reality of it is, they got it from Nintendo 64. Nintendo 64 was the first ones to come out with analog sticks on their home controller. Now, of course, some people might say, well, you can actually take it back to the days of the arcade, and that's true. You could. But we're not talking about arcades. We're just about home controllers. Who was the first one to bring it to the home front for 3D? And that would be the N64. They're the ones who brought it to the forefront. So, now that we talked about that, they actually added 2 analog sticks, which has become the norm of the day. So, I mean, it is nice. It's definitely revolutionary they added 2. But still, the original analog stick idea came from Nintendo. Now, let's go ahead again and talk about the PlayStation DualShock 1 controller. DualShock 1 controller, basically what they did was they made the analog sticks that make them poke out and also added rumble. Now, the thing is, where did they get the rumble idea from? Reality of it is, they got it, once again, from Nintendo 64, from Nintendo. See, Nintendo actually had the rumble pack that actually came, you can actually plug in the controller and you can play Added Rumble. Sony, decided that they wanted to add rumble to it too. So 6 months after they released the dual analog controller, they actually went ahead and released the DualShock. In fact, I don't even think it was 6 months. It might have been like 3 to 4, but, So now, let's go ahead and talk about the DualShock 2 controller. Now, what is the difference? There's no difference for the most part, but there is one small difference, and it's irony difference. It's irony that Infinite Retro made that video about how Microsoft copied off of Dreamcast, because the Sony PlayStation 2 controller, the one difference it has from the DualShock 2 is different from DualShock 1 is the pressure-sensitive buttons, which, and the reality of it is that the pressure-sensitive buttons actually are a response, or a copy, or a response to the Dreamcast's the trigger buttons, their analog triggers, which allow you, for like to slowly press the brakes and slowly press the acceleration. I also want to state out that in the original for PlayStation 1, the DualShock was the first one to actually add the push button feature, like this. So I just wanted to make that known. Now, giving props where props is due, basically. Now let's go ahead to the final. Well, not the final, but let's go ahead to the next one. The next evolution, which is, excuse me, my nose is itching. Up a freaking storm. You guys know how I do. Whew. I'm not like, hold on, let me pull a, what's his name? Cardi 5566. Scratch my nose. That's what he does. Anyway, it's true. Anyway, so the next evolution of the PlayStation 3 controller is in fact, well, not this, but the PlayStation 3 6-axis controller. Now, if you guys remember, a lot of people kind of got mad because Sony left it the same, you know, as the DualShock 2 and DualShock 1. The thing is that they obviously did not look at the original shape of the PlayStation 3 controller, which was a boomerang. Not good. But the thing is that they did not add rumble. Now, why didn't they add rumble? Well, Sony originally stated the original thing was because rumble was last generation. They also came out and said that the virtual work, that they removed it because it interferes with the 6-axis motion. But we all know it's because of the Emerson's lawsuit. The fact of the matter is that Emerson actually, I believe it was Emerson, they filed a lawsuit against, who did they file a lawsuit against? Sony and Microsoft for the rumble. And Microsoft paid them off, said, okay, well, here, we're going to pay this out of court. Sony didn't. Sony fought, and Sony lost dramatically. They lost, I think, was 3 times the amount that Microsoft paid. Around there. So, basically, that's all it was. Now, that was, in my reality, that's what the real reason was. Now, here's the thing. Let's stop there. Let's look at something else. The 6-axis. Now, 6-axis is pretty cool. I mean, you get the, move around. And a lot of games such as Heavy Rain, it really works out for. But, where does the 6-axis idea come from? Well, a lot of people can trace it back to a certain controller that came out a while ago for PlayStation 1, ironically enough. It was a third-party controller, but the reality of it is that the reason why they put the 6-axis the way it is, because it's more than, the other controller was like this. You just moved it back and forth, But the actual idea for the 6-axis came from the Wii. That's right, the Wii. Once they saw the Wii's controller, they went back to the drawing board and created the 6-axis so you can move the controller all the way around, and there you go. And then they also came out with the DualShock 3, which basically had the rumble, which we already talked about. So, what am I getting at? I'm saying that, you guys, excuse me, man. Oh, my nose is killing me. It's my, actually, never mind. I'll go back to when they say it, but I think it's because of allergies. Anyway, what am I saying with this video? I'm saying that you can't really sit there and say how one company copied off another, because there are other companies that copies. They're all copied off each other. If you really want to think about it, let's go back to Nintendo days. The original Nintendo, do you know that the TurboGrafx 16 and the original Sega Genesis actually copied off Nintendo's controller? Even then, the Genesis controller, while it was revolutionary, did not look anything like the other controllers. The fact of the matter is that other people copied off of them, such as the Panasonic, I believe it was. The 3DO? Yeah, they copied too. And then, if you want to go even further, let's go ahead to the 2600 days. ColecoVision, all these other companies copied off of them too. And of course, if you really want to, it's just so many things you can do. Hell, the NES Advantage, you could say, copied off of the arcade sticks and the arcades. So, overall, yeah, it's nice to know, it's not nice that they all copy, but they do. And it's not nice that you want to sit there and point fingers at Microsoft, because Sony has done way more copying than Microsoft has ever done, especially in this console. I just want to make that known. You guys have a good night. Zeph is out.